So by now that you must have got that there are different kinds of data, and for storing different kinds of data we have certain data types. Now let me start data types, and particularly in this video I am just going to give you some points about integer data types, and the rest will be covered in the upcoming videos. Okay, so keep tuned in my channel. So data types. So firstly, if I talk about data types, it is classified into two. This data type is classified into two, which are known as primitive and non-primitive. Primitive are the syllabus of class 9th. Okay, this is not the definition, but I am just telling it to you that primitive data types are the kinds of data type which is for class 9th student, and non-primitive is for class 10th student. Okay, so when I will cover the class 10th topics of Java, then I will teach you about non-primitive. But basically let's understand what are primitive and non-primitive. Primitive are something like integer. Primitive can be understood as an independent data type. Okay, primitive can be understood as a independent data type, but if you are not understanding these things now, don't worry, you will understand it as you will proceed and learn further. Okay, so if I talk about primitive, then we have int, char, float. Okay, and if I talk about non-primitive, we have array, class, strings, and like all that. Okay, so basically we need to understand primitive and non-primitive. These are non-primitive, all they are also known as composite. Okay, they are also known as composite data type, because these non-primitive are composed of primitive data types only. These non-primitive data types are composed of primitive data types only. Okay, so it can be called as dependent. Okay, these data types are dependent upon primitive data types, and that's why I have called primitive as a independent data type, because they have their own independency. Okay, so one by one I will cover all the types of integer character, but in this particular video, as I've already told, I will cover only about integer data type. So let's see about integer data types. So now let's quickly discuss about integer data types. Okay, so basically in Java we have four types of integer data type, which are byte, int, short, and also long. One thing which you must be crystal clear is about all these four belongs to integer data types, means they will accept only integers. Now if you do not know what are integers, integers something which do not have any point value. Okay, for storing any point value like 1.5, 2.5, minus 3.5, like all that, we need to go upon another data types. But simply if we want that we should store some integers like -1, -2, 500, 60, okay, like all this, then we need to go for integer data types. One we have already seen is about int. Okay, and this is the most widely used data type in terms of integer data types. Okay, these are also, means they can also be used for integer data types. Now your question would be, if we can store every integer in single integer data type, then what was the requirement of short, long, and byte? There is nothing very high concept behind this. There is a simple concept that if we have some small numbers like 2, 3, 4, 5, like I want to store 2, or suppose I want to store 20, then we should go for byte. Okay, because byte can store simple small numbers. Okay, but if suppose I want to store something like 200, 500, okay, 200, 500, then we should go for int. Okay, and short is also there, which is also used to store some still small values, because this is first, this is second, this is third, this is fourth. These are the the sequence of data types I have just replaced this and this, so doesn't matter, but concentrate that first comes is byte. Okay, the next comes is short. So short can also store some small values. I am not telling the exact values. Okay, don't consider it as the exact value. I am just trying to give you some kind of means example so that you can understand. Byte is used to store some small values. Short can also store some small values like 5, 50, 100. It can also store 200. Okay, but suppose if I go something big, 2000, 5000, then we should use int data types. And suppose we need to store some more big values like 1 lakh. Okay, suppose I need to store 1 lakh or 2 lakhs, then we should go for long data types. Okay, the second difference is about their sizes. Okay, the second difference is about their sizes. If I talk about sizes, byte is of 1 byte, int is of 4 bytes, short is of 2 bytes, and long is of 8 bytes. Okay, and you should also know that 8 bits is equals to 1 byte. So definitely these can be asked in your program or in your question, that how many bytes are there in a byte variable. So you will answer that 1 byte. And if it asks in terms of bits, then you will say that it is equals to 8 bits. This is 8 for the 32 bits. Okay, and suppose and like that. So basically we have 4 types in integer data types which are used to store different kinds of value depending upon their sizes. If the size is small, we should go for byte or short. If the size or the value is little big, we should go for int, and if the value is really very big, then we should go for long data types. Okay, so kindly note all this.